In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan engages in a long-form conversation with Brian Simpson, covering an eclectic mix of topics ranging from personal health and pet anecdotes to video gaming, conspiracy theories, and cosmic mysteries. The dialogue touches on Brian's experiences with vision improvement, heart attack recovery, pet behavior, and smoking debates, alongside discussions about gaming culture, cryptocurrency scams, space exploration, and ancient archaeological discoveries. The interaction is sprinkled with humor, personal insight, and reflections on society and technology. Brian shares his experience with managing his astigmatism and the evolution of his glasses usage. He explains how initially he had different pairs for driving and computer use and previously required reading glasses. Notably, he credits red light therapy and a nutrient combination called macular support for improving his eyesight to the point that he no longer needs glasses. Though not perfect in low-light conditions, Brian reports that his eyesight is significantly better, allowing him to read small print effortlessly again. He also references discussing this therapy with Dr. Huberman, who validated the potential benefits. Brian opens up about suffering a heart attack 3 months prior during Super Bowl weekend in Atlanta. He recounts the surreal experience of undergoing surgery to have a stent inserted, noting his lighthearted approach during a serious medical procedure. He humorously describes how the surgeon was displeased by his joking, highlighting the contrast between his coping style and the surgeon's seriousness. Brian details waking up under sedation with an urge to protect his groin, where the stent was inserted through the femoral artery, and the chaos it caused. Reflecting on medical staff, Brian contrasts the humor and warmth of nurses with the often uptight demeanor of doctors, attributing the latter's serious tone to the life-or-death nature of their responsibilities. The discussion turns to Brian's dogs and cats, touching on stories of pet antics and care. He shares an incident where his dog, Marshall, ingested rocks after eating chicken feed spilled on gravel, requiring emergency veterinary intervention and hospitalization. The challenges of living with large dogs in apartment buildings, particularly breeds like Cane Corsos and Blue Heelers, are discussed, emphasizing the need for ample exercise. Brian compares dogs' trainability to wolves' stubbornness, noting that wolves cannot be trained, and illustrating this with tales of a friend's timber wolf pack wreaking havoc on neighbors' livestock. Regarding cats, Brian describes Millie, a resistant and somewhat feral-like cat with deep-seated trauma, requiring CBD oil to calm down before vet visits. They discuss feline behavior related to clothes and catnip. Catnip's active compound, nepentolactone, stimulates playful and euphoric behavior in genetically susceptible cats. Brian highlights that catnip is generally safe with only large quantities, potentially causing mild stomach upset. Brian notes the prevalence of dogs in his apartment complex, the pervasive scent of dog urine in public areas, and the disconnect between the size and energy needs of certain dog breeds versus their living environment. He laments poorly exercised large dogs kept in small apartments, drawing parallels between dogs needing exercise and MMA fighters needing to train regularly. The dangers posed by urban coyotes to outside cats are mentioned, with stories about coyote behaviors in different cities and their adaptation to urban environments. Brian references Coyote America, a book discussing coyote ecology and reproductive behaviors, including enhanced litter sizes in response to predation. The conversation moves to animal domestication, referencing a famous Russian experiment selectively breeding foxes for tameness over decades, leading to dog-like behaviors and physical traits. They compare the domestication and trainability of various animals: wolves' resistance to training, some house cats' partial trainability, and the linchpin role of natural selection in altering animal behavior over generations. Brian also reflects on traits making certain professions, like nursing and veterinary work, unique in attracting particular personalities. Brian dives into his gaming habits and the latest game he's involved with, Deadlock, describing its gameplay, mechanics, and strategic elements to Joe. The game is a futuristic, urban fantasy-themed, team-based online game reminiscent of League of Legends, with different modes including a simpler brawl mode. Brian discusses the complexity and time commitment required to play and master such games, emphasizing the steep learning curve. They also explore the technology and gear involved in immersive gaming, showcasing elaborate setups including zero-gravity chairs with multiple reclining positions, massive ultra-wide curved monitors, advanced sound control interfaces, and VR rooms equipped with flight and racing simulators. Brian mentions the growing trend of streaming video games as both entertainment and income source, with notable streamers like T-Pain monetizing gameplay and content creation. They discuss the precarious balance between streaming becoming a job and retaining enjoyment. An extended segment focuses on tobacco, nicotine products, and their health impacts. Brian recounts various nicotine consumption modes, including cigarettes, patches, gums, lozenges, and pouches, highlighting the addictiveness and behavioral effects of nicotine. He mentions his personal cessation, facilitated by his heart attack, and debates controversial claims from cardiothoracic surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry, suggesting that nicotine, paired with a high antioxidant diet, may have some mitochondrial benefits, and that some long-lived populations with high smoking rates seem to challenge conventional wisdom. The conversation covers the nuances of nicotine delivery, cigarettes versus vaping versus pouches, and the addictive potential of vaping, with anecdotes illustrating vapors' intense cravings and dependency. They discuss popcorn lung concerns related to vaping, the dubious safety of natural cigarette brands like American Spirit, and the pharmaceutical industry's interests in nicotine replacement therapies, which may perpetuate addiction cycles. Brian also notes the cultural and behavioral effects of nicotine on activities like playing pool, where jitteriness undermines performance. Brian and Joe discuss the volatile world of cryptocurrency, including pump-and-dump schemes such as Trump Coin's meteoric rise and collapse, highlighting how insiders profit massively while others lose billions. They touch on insider trading controversies in politics, contrasting the relative impunity of lawmakers with the harsh penalties faced by others. Relatedly, they reference widespread scams targeting elderly individuals, luring them with fake trading apps purporting to deliver profits, but designed to steal money and sensitive information. The ethics and legality of such schemes are debated alongside the murky motivations of various actors. The dialogue shifts toward discussing COVID-19-related government corruption and censorship. Brian mentions an indictment against a top NIH advisor, David Morin, for allegedly concealing emails to avoid transparency about controversial coronavirus research funding linked to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The role of social media platforms in suppressing lab leak theories early in the pandemic is discussed, as well as ongoing investigations and political struggles to reveal the truth behind the virus's origin. Brian and Joe explore revelations from space telescopes and archaeological discoveries. They discuss the recent discoveries from telescopes like the James Webb and newer ones like the Nancy Grace Roman telescope, emphasizing the vast unknowns in space, including black holes of unimaginable size, such as Toan 618, the Great Attractor exerting unseen gravitational pull, and cosmic structures like the South Pole Wall that challenge our understanding of the universe. They also delve into enigmatic subterranean findings beneath the Egyptian pyramids identified through advanced radiotomography. These suggest vast, ancient megastructures extending deep underground, possibly indicating advanced prehistoric civilizations with sophisticated technologies. The labyrinth beneath the pyramids and artifacts resembling metallic tic-tacs invoke intrigue and mystery. Brian reflects on the notion of neighbor conflicts, citing a complex legal battle involving a neighbor's million-dollar addition being torn down due to century-old subdivision constraints and privacy violations. This is linked to broader themes of social conflict and how cultural backgrounds, such as the culture of honor in Appalachia, as discussed in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, shape human behavior and disputes, historically manifesting in violent feuds like the Hatfields and McCoys. He emphasizes the importance of being a considerate neighbor and how personal responsibility and compromise can improve communal living. They touch on various contemporary issues, including vaping addictions, the challenges of quitting nicotine, technological surveillance, and privacy concerns following the Edward Snowden revelations, and the limits of internet privacy with personal emails used to avoid transparency. Brian also relates stories such as the rise of syphilis strains causing blindness in Michigan, the toll of careless behavior during the pandemic, and social commentary on people's reaction to ongoing political and scientific developments. Drawing on the story of the Beatles' intense gigging in Hamburg and Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours concept, Brian and Joe discuss how repetitive, focused practice in any field, including comedy and music, is critical for mastery. The comparison extends to professionals, such as surgeons, highlighting how frequent high-stakes experience improves skill and suggests the importance of deliberate practice over sporadic effort. Throughout the episode, the conversation includes humorous asides on drug paraphernalia, fictional conspiracies like Pepsi spice poisoning documented as a running joke, and critiques of celebrity crypto ventures. They discuss Elon Musk's social media presence versus his professional duties, showcasing the contradictions of modern celebrity. Brian and Joe frequently humorously debate cultural phenomena, offering a candid and irreverent perspective on a wide array of subjects, integrating personal anecdotes with larger societal observations.